All right, so what makes this beginning section sound really cool? A lot of you might know already what makes it kind of unique is that it's a timing rhythmic thing. This idea, if it was played straight, again, this is all 16th notes. So if you tap it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right? So you have the beat like this. If you play this lick, but instead of playing the first notes as 3 notes, you only play it as 2. So instead of 3 times and then going to, then if you play those notes as twice as opposed to 3, you get something more like this. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you tap along with that, 1, 2, 3. Right? You get a very even thing where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So every time you come back to that note, it's coming back on a 1, right? Now, what's going on here is the rhythm's getting offset by putting in 3 notes instead of 4. So basically what's going on here is you have a pattern that is in 16th notes. So it's in 4/4 time, and it's playing all as 16th notes. There's no odd rhythm or anything. But it's playing 9 notes, patterns, where in 4/4 evenly you'd have 4 note, 2 note, 4 note, 8 note patterns. You'd have that kind of thing going on. Well, throwing 9 in there twists the phrase around a little bit. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So that turns everything completely around, and that's what kind of makes this phrase really work. Because if you just played it with the 2 notes, it sounds cool, but it's just kind of standard and nothing. You don't get this feeling of being kind of a little bit off. So that's the reason why this kind of works, and that's a cool little device to try and play instead of playing phrases that are straight, equal to the timing, 16th notes, 8th notes, 4 of them or 8 of them. Start throwing in 9-note phrases or 5-note phrases. And then repeating those and see where it turns your timing around. So the other part of this lick that sounds really cool is the idea of taking a shape and just moving it down a half step. And in this it works really well because you get some cool tonalities out of it. Where we're over A, right? And if we're thinking A minor pentatonic, you have this phrase after the, right? And what that's doing is you're playing your flat 5, right, to your minor 6, to your 7. Then you're going back to your flat 7. Then you're going back to that flat 5, back down to the 4, to the 6. So you have, oh, and then you're playing this note, which is your 5th. So, right, which this note is here in the pentatonic, right? This note is a little out, but we've talked about that before when we've talked about using, instead of pentatonic scale, your minor pentatonic, right? You use that major 6. Right, and that's kind of like a Robin E. Ford kind of thing to do, to use that 6, or Larry Carlton. A lot of those guys use that kind of thing. Now, that again, that's a really cool device to just slide down a half step, and that puts you back in your pentatonic scale. So mess around with doing that kind of thing, taking a phrase, a really short phrase, and move it up or down a half step, and then get back into your pentatonics wherever you are. We've talked about this before. We're going to do a pretty in-depth lesson on this kind of thing at some point, and show you a whole bunch of ideas and show them over some backing tracks and how they actually, you can work in and out of them. But anyway, so those are the two real big ideas that you can take out of this solo. And so again, take an idea and move it around in half steps and get back to your pentatonics, or whatever you want to get back to. And then the other thing is taking a phrase and instead of making it rhythmically breaking up in 4 or 8 or something even, do something odd where it's 5 or 7 or 9 or whatever. So like this phrase here that we have, we can do the same thing. We'll do a real quick thing like in E minor pentatonic, right? You have, right? And you extend it to that next pattern, right? Now what we can do is we can pivot, do that same thing we were doing here, right? But we'll do it up here. So you're doing 17, 12, 16, 12, 15, 12, right? And now what we'll do though is we'll do the 3-note thing on a B note. So you have, and now we'll go down to this string. And we'll do that same pattern, 17, 12, 16, 12, 15, 12, but this time on the B string. So you have, and then you can go down to the next string. So you have the G string. And this time you have 16, 12, 15, 12, 14, 12. So the whole idea would be, and you can resolve back to E or whatever. But that's just a real quick example of how you could take this phrase and make it slightly different, and start using it in your own playing. Because again, this is just E minor pentatonic, or you're thinking around E minor pentatonic. And I'm just seeing this box here, right? So the objective now is, again, you're doing this 3-note thing where it's 1, 2, 3. So instead of doing 1, 2, which would be very much rhythmically in time, you're offsetting it with another note, which makes it a 9-note phrase. So anyway, that's enough talk on that. The lick's really, I think it's a great lick, and the way he applies it to the music is amazing. And if you haven't read the description down below, I will tell you who the guitar player is if you don't know already. It's Scott Henderson. This is a song off of, I think it was like a 1985 CD, 85 or 86, and I think it was Jeff Berlin's CD, the bass player. But it could have been a project they did together. But I think it was Jeff Berlin's CD called Champion, and Scott Henderson played on it. And it is just, the CD is amazing. And like I said, I'm going to put a link down below to where you can hopefully get this CD if it's still in print. And I would suggest trying to track it down, because the playing on it is just awesome. It's back in the day when Scott was really aggressive. He's still very aggressive, but he's a little more refined and controlled now. And back then it was just all-out aggression, and it just sounded so good. So anyway, I will put the time code to where this lick is and the track and all that kind of stuff, so you have that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. We are going to get into a couple more Scott Henderson things in the next month or two. A lot of stuff off of his blues albums, Dog Party, and I forget what the other one, Tore Down House, and all that kind of stuff. There's some really cool stuff I want to get into. So if you guys are into that, check it out. Otherwise, go to guitarbreakdown.com if you got a chance. Check out what's going on over there. There's a video. I want to thank you guys that have donated. We put a donate button up there, and we've gotten a lot of generous things going on. So thank you so much for that. And again, we're keeping track of who's donating, and we are going to offer something pretty cool and exclusive to those folks. So thank you for that, and I will see you guys on the next lesson.